Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Well, my guest this morning is something of a surprise, but he's not a strange person at all to us. I'm talking about the managing partner of Bui Costeau, but much more popularly known to you and most Nigerians as the former Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. Alhaji, it's great to see you again, and it's been quite a while.
Good morning, Mr. Folari. It's been a while. Good morning, everybody. It's been quite a while.
Okay, so here we are. We see the face is well known. We're seeing you in a different context. You've been the Minister of Information and Culture for what, the past 8 years? For 8 years, 2 terms of the former administration, and now you're transitioning. I described you as the managing partner of Bui Costeau. We'll come to know what Bui Costeau is. But could you first of all give us some sort of insight into your transitioning process? Have there been surprises? What have you noticed since coming up from that long stint into private/business life?
Thank you, Mr. Folari. I don't think there's been too much of a transition period. In the sense that I was fortunate within a month of my of ceasing to be a minister, I was offered this job by Ballard Partners in the U.S. to represent them in Africa. Ballard Partners is a Washington-based firm of lobbyists and government relations, and shortly after too, I got this offer from the United Nations World Tourism Organization, which we now call World Tourism Organization, as special advisor to the Secretary General. So I actually had to come back and set up the structure for Bui Costeau, which is largely, a firm of public relations, policy advisory.
In fact, you are a French graduate yourself, and I learned that Bui Costeau actually would mean in English.
Actually, it's like a megaphone. It's like
so it's still communication. It's still
very much communication.
Perhaps strategic communication.
Communications, lobbying, government relations, and the whole lot. Now, but of course, there's a difference between what it was a year ago and what it is today in my personal life. Today, I don't have to worry about every Wednesday there's going to be a FEC meeting. I don't need to hold strategic sessions with my aides. I don't need to meet as regularly as I used to meet with the media, either the bureau chiefs. I don't need these kind of regular appearances in the media that I had to make compulsorily in those days. So to a certain extent, the pressure is much less.
Okay.
Whatever pressure I'm in today is self-made and and created. But there are a lot of useful lessons to learn from having served for 8 years in government and transiting into private life. And I think the first to learn is that no matter how long you stay in government, you come back and meet the people one day. So after 8 years, I'm glad that I didn't find it too difficult to re-enter the public sector. But there are a few lessons you learn. The first is that you see what you learn as a minister for 8 years. They don't teach it in Harvard. They don't teach it in Yale. And I think that will be a story for another day.
Indeed.
And then there's this public perception of former ministers. And this is no thanks to fake news and disinformation. You will recall that very early in the administration, there were a lot of fake news about how much money, ministers had salted into their private accounts, all over the world. Unfortunately, some people believe this, even when it looks so, unreasonable. For instance, I was supposed to be having about $1.3 billion in my private account in the U.S. And one day I had to discuss with a few people, and I said, you know what it means to have $1.3 million US? It means that...
Billion.
$1 billion. It means that if, I mean, at the best, my capital budget throughout my 8 years never exceeded 10 billion naira. Now, it would take me 52 years at 400 naira to a dollar. It would take me 52 years to make $1.3 billion. Today, it would take me more than 150 years. About this kind of thing that people bandied.
Those are the kind of stories that were being bandied around.
Yes, and then, of course, and people who believe it start putting so much pressure on you. You know, thinking that you have money and you can help them. But again, you just have to manage.
Well, that's the nature of the beast.
Yes, but I think you know, with time, you are going to have many more former ministers, many more former governors, many more former presidents, many more former senators, and they will still
have to come back.
Into
private life.
Yes, and not that, you know, I think not all of them will just fold their arms and start playing golf. Many of them will see if they can still contribute, you know, to
usefully to the development of the nation.
Yeah.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that brief, you know, overview as it is. But the reason that we are talking today is not so much about your former assignment, but it's noting that your company, that is, Brie Costeau, organized a roundtable with the Nigerian Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. This involved all sorts of sectors in the private sector, the Ministry of Solid Minerals, the Ministry of Steel. You know, it was quite a large, it was, I think the Vice President gave an address, you know, at the opening. Tell me about that whole drive and why your firm, and we've said that it's a strategic PR firm, why your firm saw fit to organize it and getting it that well attended. Talk to me about that.
No, I think the credit for this National Stakeholders Roundtable should go really to the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies.
Okay.
One of the best things that happened to Brie Costeau was signing this partnership, you know, arrangement with the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Kuru. And I want to take the opportunity again to express our gratitude for believing in our brand. So it's actually the idea of the National Institute for Policy Studies. You know, this is #1 think tank in the country, and their role is actually to advise government on not just on policy, but also on strategy to implement the policies. So the National Institute for Policy and Studies had a meeting with us and said, look, Mr. President wants to change, he wants to bring Nigeria to $1 trillion economy in the next 5 years. And this means we need to depend less on just crude petroleum. We need to diversify and look into other areas of the economy that can provide the extra $550 billion, because today we do about $450 billion. And they now identify 6 critical sectors of the economy outside petroleum that can fetch us the needed $550 billion. And the first that they picked was the mining industry. So they believe that if we have a roundtable, national stakeholders roundtable on the mining industry, which will be a platform to discuss all the issues that have been militating against the full actualization of the potentials of the mineral sector, and exploring new opportunities for it, we're able to contribute at least about $300 billion. In other words, the mining sector, if properly aligned, be able to contribute on its own $300 billion to our economy in the next 5 years. That was what necessitated the National Stakeholders Roundtable. And who are the stakeholders?
Yes, because I was going to ask.
Of course, the stakeholders are the ministries of solid mineral development itself, the Ministry of City Development, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Defense, the IGP, the police, the EFCC, the DSS, the Ministry of Petroleum Resources on the one hand, then the investors in the mining industry on the other hand, and also from the private sector, the miners themselves. And of course, the community is very important, because when if you take even a license to mine from the federal government, you are going to go into a state, a local government, to do the exploration or the exploitation of the resources. So we were able to bring together all these different stakeholders for 2 days to brainstorm and not just identify the problems. What do you know what the problems are? Provide solutions. And a timeline within which we can achieve this $1 trillion. We can make our own contribution through this one, to achieve the $1 trillion economy.
How doable, so to speak, I'm using that word. I think I remember the late Rashid Badamosi, who used the word famously once. How doable is this project? Doubling, as it were, the economy size from around 400 and something to
a trillion.
About $1 trillion. How doable is it realistically? And I ask this against the backdrop of Bouygues Construct being a strategic communications and PR firm and lobby group. Of course, it's going to be interested in the potentials in there. But surely you must have looked at, in the 2-day roundtable, you must have looked at some challenges, shall we call them, some challenges that would also be militating against achieving that goal, much as everybody is very excited with the idea of a $1 trillion economy.
Thank you, Sir Folari. Like I said, it was not a conference, it was a brainstorming session. And what we did was, like I said, we already knew what the problems were. So we broke the participants into 8 syndicates. Each syndicate addressed each thematic issue, ranging from regulatory policy to inaccessibility of funding, to community relationship, to environmental impact, to harnessing technology to improve mining, to why can't we attract big multinational mining companies into Nigeria? What is the role of traditional rulers and communities? So each of these thematic groups went into a session for 2 days, came back with recommendations, which was further critiqued by the plenary. At the end of the 2 days, we came out with what we call our own declaration, which we are going to make available to government and also to the public. And one of the first, agreement was that the federal government, the stakeholders, and the state government should all support the Ministry of Solid Minerals in its mainstreaming and implementation of a 7-point agenda.
Because I was going to go there. Say, what is the role? And I was going to ask how important the contribution of the Ministry of Solid Minerals was in all of this.
Well, the minister himself was the host.
Okay.
And his remark, Alake was the host, and his remarks became the centerpiece of the discussion for the 2 days. Like I said, our declaration is that the federal government, state government, and all stakeholders, we must all support the 7-point agenda of the Ministry of Solid Minerals. Secondly, that we have also affirmed our support for the review of the Minerals and Mining Act of 2007, which is now being undertaken by both the National Assembly and the Ministry of Solid Minerals. But we ask for further consultation, with stakeholders. Thirdly, we recommended that the federal government and state government must manage the existing constitutional and legal challenges and conflict, which is not allowing it for investor confidence in the mining industry, pending the review of the new legislation.
Okay.
We also noticed that there's not enough budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Solid Minerals and the agencies supporting it. And if it's not increased, they will not be able to meet the goals we have set for them.
Okay.
Because gradually, you can see that solid minerals is not just a revenue, it's not just for revenue, it's also needed to promote other sectors.
Indeed. Now, the question that comes to mind immediately as you're speaking, Alhaji, is how competitive, in your assessment, as a stakeholder and an expert in this, how competitive is the country, Nigeria, in solid minerals? The potential is clear. I think everybody knows that. You can look that up on the internet. The next level is, the potential might be there, but how competitive an environment, or how convenient, perhaps that's a better word, how ready are we as a country to receive investment? And it has to be massive investment, given what we are looking for.
Mr. Folarin, this is precisely
from abroad.
What we set out to do. Like I say, we've already identified what the problems are. Most of the problems which I can discuss freely here is that the federal government and the state government, and I said it, must manage the conflicts. What are these conflicts? The conflicts are these. Under the Constitution, the federal government has exclusive legislative rights over mining. In other words, only federal government can issue licenses to mine. Now, but federal government has no land. So Abuja will give me a license to go and mine in Enugu. When I get to Enugu, I might have problems with the Enugu state government. I might have a problem with the community where I'm mining. So these are areas that I believe that pending the new review of the 2007 Mining Act, the federal government and state government must manage. Otherwise, investors will run away. I'll give you an example.
Sure.
I have a client who called me one day and said a particular state government has sealed up its mines. And by doing so, they've thrown into the job market 600 direct people, another 400 meter, about 1,000, over $60 million worth of equipment. And why? Because they were accused of not, abiding by the environmental regulations of
Okay.
the state.
Okay.
Now, the issue is, for me, that is sealing it the answer? Because if you seal it up, now not only are you going to create, job losses, now the company will not be able to meet its external obligations. It will discourage investors from coming to Nigeria. So this is why I believe that that's why I said the part of our recommendation that the state and federal government must sit down together and manage this conflict. That look, if I issue a license from Abuja for a person to go and mine in Kwara, that was the understanding. It's the same federal, it's the same Nigeria. Now, this is a very big issue that we believe that the review of the 2007 Mining Act would probably take care of.
How long has work been going on in this regard, this review, which it seems to me to be at the heart of the matter?
Well, I think I'm not too sure whether it has reached the second reading, but I think it's made a lot of progress because the chairman of House Committee on the minerals, on solid minerals, was also there to address the
roundtable.
The roundtable, and he was quite happy and glad that this kind of roundtable was coming at this time, and that he was also was waiting also for our recommendations. Some of our recommendations is what I'm trying to tell you, that we notice also that the mining industry today in Nigeria needs to use modern technology, data solutions, and automotive technologies so that it can, minimize the environmental challenges, it can minimize power consumption, and optimize resource extraction. One of our recommendations. We also recommended that it is largely because of this opaqueness at times, between federal government and state on this conflict, that has not enabled Nigeria to attract major multinational mining companies to Nigeria. And unfortunately, in the last 2 weeks, we saw Glencore coming to Nigeria, which is a very good sign. I'm sure they must have been encouraged by the new reforms going on in the industry. But when you look at countries with even less infrastructure than Nigeria, even less political stability than Nigeria, attracting, the likes of Rio Tinto, the likes of BHP, the likes of Vail into their country, you begin to wonder, what are we not doing right? And this is why we are very confident that if the various stakeholders, because the implementation of our recommendation is not just with government, no. It's also with stakeholders. For instance, we recommended to that mining companies should engage more with the communities where they are mining so they can create trust, address the concerns of the people. At the same time, there is some form of benefit going to the owners of the land where you are mining. Sometimes it could be in form of corporate social responsibility. Sometimes it might be in terms of, giving priority for, employment for the local people. We have also noticed too that we lack capacity. We need to work with our education institutions, federal government and state government, and stakeholders in the mining industry to improve the human capital.
Okay. Now, in all of this, I just want to recall that it's at the instance of the Nigerian Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, in partnership with just your firm and also all the stakeholders the ministries itself, and not just the Ministry of Mines, Solid Minerals, not just the Ministry of Solid Minerals.
We had the Minister of Solid Minerals in attendance.
Yes.
We had the Minister of we had the Minister of State Development in attendance. We had the Minister of Health State in attendance. The Minister of Environment sent a director to represent him. So also did the Minister of Petroleum Resources. Now, we also had the Governor of Nasarawa State who declared it open.
Yes.
Being a key, mineral state, where the IGPs and the DIG to represent him, representative from immigrations, from customs, because you see, mining touches virtually every aspect of governance. And I must say, with all sorts of ability, that we achieved what we set out to achieve.
With that round table.
Bring everybody that is anybody in the mining industry. I mean, whether you're talking about environmental concern, you're talking about community relationship, you're talking about modern equipment, talking about financing, talking about legislative policies, you're talking about regulatory framework. We had everybody together, and you see, the sessions were very exciting.
Yes,
they were intensive,
and it had all the experts.
All the experts were there. As a matter of fact, we had about 60 experts, drawn from the academia, drawn from the industry, investors. And I must say that the keynote address was given by a professor, but it was, I think Mr. Shegun Lawson of Segilola also, he was chaired the first plenary. And that was, the mind there, I think it's called Thor, is the model, is the model that all other, most many firms should follow.
Okay.
Because it's not only quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, it's also quoted, I think, in Canada. And why? Because it met all the requirements.
All right. This is very interesting. This is an initiative of the Nigerian Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies. And you played a key role.
Yes.
Your company played a key role in this, along with all, other stakeholders, with the objective, finally, of achieving what you said, taking this economy through mining to how many? $1 trillion.
Yes,
$1
you see,
economy.
the federal government says they want Nigeria must achieve a $1 trillion economy in the next 5 years.
Yes. Okay.
We are doing about 475 or thereabout billion today. So the balance of 500 billion must be sourced from somewhere else.
Indeed.
And so we said we can't rely just on oil. Let's go to mining and other
areas. Okay, we'll take a break now, Alhaji, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation and also take some calls on this matter as well. Stay with us, please.
Lagos is the most visited state in Africa as the 5th largest economy on the continent. Covering the state and its government is no mean feat. It's a busy beat. We go beyond the curtain of tapes to traveling far into the deep.
I want to thank the Lagos State government for the healthcare facility.
To bring stories that cut across all spectrums.
A greater Lagos shall be ours.
We tell you stories that define our collective well-being as Lagosians. I'm Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel. TVC News. First with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back. And my guest this morning is the managing partner of Brui Costo, former Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. We're looking at taking advantage of solid minerals, and he's explained the context of that. We're at a 450, million naira economy. We want to go as high as 1 trillion naira.
Next 5 years.
In 5 years. And so, just exploring what are the options. It can't all come from oil, as he's been explaining. And so certainly the mining sector is indeed a key, a key opportunity. Some might even say, I don't know if you can say low-hanging fruit, because it's not an easy piece of work. It takes such a lot. But you are exploring it, would appear. There's been this roundtable.
You see, sir, you recall that prior to 1975, the mining industry contributed 12% to our GDP. That was before the indigenization decree. For the indigenization decree, and then we had to, the companies had to sell 60% of their shares to meet the new regulations
policy.
That led to a setback in the mining industry. That's why we believe that with the reforms being put in place today by the federal government, we can, even if we cannot get to 12%, we can get about 6%.
Okay.
For the mining industry to contribute about 6%. I mean, today they contribute probably less than 1%. From what it used to be before. So we think it's doable if we can just, remove all these, obstacles. Legal framework. You see, the industry has suffered a lot of neglect, and then there's been inadequate legislation and lack of implementation of policy, which has now led to, we are now reduced to a country of artisanal miners, small scale miners.
Because I was going to come to this very point that you've made, that we see pictures of mining, and we also see in Nigeria artisanal miners, even though everybody must be licensed. But we also see the scale on which this particular profession, occupation, industry is practiced abroad.
Yes, it seems.
How far away are we?
You see, Mr. Folarin, artisanal miners are not necessarily illegal miners.
No.
Many artisanal miners have actually the permits and the licenses.
Well, I didn't intend to suggest otherwise, but just the scale at which they're operating. Okay.
But because they lack the capacity.
Okay.
They don't have the finance.
Yes.
They don't have the equipment. That's why they remain artisanal. And this is why one of the things that will allow them to migrate from being artisanal to, big, to what you call MMC, that we call that multinational,
Exactly.
multinational mining companies.
This kind of idea has been explored.
It will be the environment. When there is an environment of certainty, predictability, because mining is a long-term investment. You cannot recoup your investment in 5 years. Because some of the equipment you buy have a lifespan of about 15 to 25 years, for instance. So you need an environment that will attract investors. And one of the most important ones is that there must be clarity, there must be certainty. I'm not going to invest, I'm not going to put $25 billion into an investment when every year the government will come with new policies.
Okay. I have a caller on the line.
Right.
Let's take that. Good morning to you, Mr. George. Thank you for holding on a bit.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you.
And good morning to Lai Mohammed.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, I want to thank Lai Mohammed for the good ideas he's bringing to the table on how to take advantage of our solid mineral deposits. But as he was talking, Uncle Yori, a number of things came to my mind. That Lai Mohammed is a key figure in the past administration and in the ruling political party. And he was the Minister for Information for 8 consecutive years. So what came to my mind as he was talking, I was wondering, did he have inhibition when he was in government to introduce or sell these ideas to the president? Or is it that the ideas are just coming to him? Absolutely, the ideas are not just coming to him, because he mentioned that he was in office at the time he had contact with his partner. And the way he's projecting it now, it just occurred to me, what were these inhibitions? Are they things that we can take lessons from, bearing in mind that he was a key figure in that administration, and is now bringing these ideas in a private capacity on the platform of business? That's just what I wanted to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. George. I think Nigerians should get ready for more former ministers, more former governors, more former legislators entering the field of government relations and lobbying. This is the practice in many parts of the world, where former senators, former governors, come together to form consultancies to help further development in their country. Two, Mr. George, you realize that I said from the beginning that this was a collaboration between the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, which is federal government #1 think tank. So, and I think I was honest enough to say the idea was not even brick or stone. It was actually that of NIPS. But we worked together to make it happen. Thirdly, I was Minister of Information and Culture. I was not Minister of Solid Minerals or Minister of Steel Development. But I had to learn more about mining. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? And I didn't set up Brookcoast when I was a minister, no. Set it up after I left office. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Elder David in Alimosho, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Lai Mohammed. God will bless you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Lai Mohammed.
Thank you, sir.
I'm very grateful, and what Lai Mohammed have just told you is very correct, because every good thing of this government started 2015, like what I always said. And government is a continuous thing. The government that has come in now is to correct the past mistake of others, not that of APC, because the APC from 2015 have been the best government we have in this country. I've been saying on this platform. Solid minerals is more than crude oil. South Africa have no crude oil yet. And from what government have done so far now, in fact, let us wait with the next 3 years. You say that we shall depend on this solid mineral because there's a minister there already. And whatever he said is very correct, because these are people who were able to complete all the abandoned projects of Obasanjo and Atiku, that is from 1999 to 2015 of PDP. I've said it here too, 34 parastatals were closed down. And where is the money of which they sold those parastatals? And today they are talking of the coastal line to Edda, Calabar and others. And those are people that produce the oil where Atiku himself were able to make this money. And where Obi himself was able to make, if he had gone to another, Obi will not protest. And if that coastal air, this thing have gone to Adamawa, he will not protest. Let them keep quiet and let this government do their own job. It's a continuation of this government. God will bless everybody that supports this government. And God will bless you and bless Nigeria. Nigeria continues to remain. This government will rule till 2031. I say in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elder David. But also again to emphasize that Alhaji Lai Mohammed is in a private capacity, but he is not really working in government anymore in that way. But he is, working with the Nigerian Institute for Policy and Strategic Study as one of their clients. Did I get that right?
Yeah, we have a strategic partnership
with NIPS, a strategic partnership.
So we're going to do many things together.
So do they qualify as? So you wouldn't?
No, we don't charge them.
You don't like the word client.
They're not clients in the sense that they pay us fees. No.
Oh, okay.
We believe that they have what we don't have.
Okay.
They also believe that we have what they don't have.
Okay.
And then the two of us have met together and said we can contribute our own quota to national development.
Okay. And also, we're talking now about mining and solid minerals, but that's just one aspect. Your firm might also be able to handle other aspects.
Like I told you, sir, I said we have identified 6 sectors, and mining is also the first one.
Okay.
And I think in the fullness of time,
mining is just the first one. There are other areas of
that we believe that we can, jack up, and they can contribute their own quota to meet the deficit of by $550 billion in the next 5 years, not in 1 year, the next 5 years.
Okay. Mazi Okorafor, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Lai Mohammed.
Good morning.
See you live and direct. It's not retired, but it's not tired, but it's not retired. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Mazi.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
So I like to see that. I thank God for people like you. At least you are still bouncing back to the screen to tell Nigeria what you have, that you still have a lot to do. That is why that's we call authority. Now, for we to move forward in this country, there is no state that doesn't have mineral resources. Look at Enugu. We are talking about energy. And Enugu, the coal there have not been harnessed for even 1 day. Now what do we do? Doesn't mean we don't have experts that are supposed to go down there. And then this thing now, so that let us have our own energy. That's all the generated there. Because every time we sit down and be thinking about outside, whereas coal is being wasted, energy is being wasted, nobody cares. Now, it's an issue of mining. There is nothing the federal government will do to stop mining in this country. That is legal mining. Because, do you know, statistics have shown that, I'm talking to you right now, many children are supposed to be in school. They have abandoned school. They are now going to mine. Because there they make big money, nobody cares, no license, just mine and come and sell you. At least there is already made market for them there. Even this illegal money is creating more problems to our educational sector. That is what is happening, that because the government are just people that are supposed to go around and do this and that. They will tell you insecurity. Insecurity are the people are causing. It is some people inside that create a lot of problems so that people will not come there. They will mining all this illegally and carry it outside Nigeria and be making more than the government. Are you talking about the Niger data? We are talking about the crude oil. What is happening there? The illegal bunker is more than the real one. Nigeria, you see how much petrol is costing now? In our school at 850 a liter. Kerosene, hallelujah. That one is 1,400, 1,400. Kerosene, that is many people. Is it the charcoal? Is it the gas you're talking about? All these issues are very important. The question is that our problem is implementation. That is the major problem. There are people that go to do. Some of them are not giving the opportunity. Some of them are giving the opportunity. They You just go there, siphon, and go and abandon. Every time, depending on outsider to come in. An outsider cannot come here and show us what to do in our place. It is we, in the to take the state by themselves, arrange all these things they have in their place, bring people within themselves to harness these things by themselves, and they rate their revenue, not to push on depending on federal government. My brothers and sisters, honestly speaking, it is very, very disheartening that crude oil in Nigeria. Look at Ukraine, look at Kuwait, look at Russia. Ukraine is today, you see wheat they produce. They are not supplying wheat to other countries that they don't have food. And Ukraine is the people that already face serious war in their country, and they have a safe trade. And you see guys, what is Nigeria? We have to go. Lai Mohammed, it's a pleasure to see you bouncing. Good morning, sir.
All right, then.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
I think he made a lot of very solid points. But you see, it's precisely these issues that the brainstorming session was set up to address. And if you remember...
And you were at it for 2 days.
Yes.
Divided up into various
syndicates. Now, the issue he raised about states and the federal government is what we believe will be resolved when the new Mining Act is signed into law by Mr. President. Because all the stakeholders have seen that there's no way you can, exclude the state government from participating in mining. Because at the end of the day, it is their people that suffer the degradation.
The environmental.
Yes. So there must be a way that they can be compensated. And then there must be a way that they can engage without taking away the sovereignty of the federal government. Two, there's what people we call Aboriginal landowners who inherited their land from their fathers, and they've been farming on this land. I am not telling them that they cannot, dig the land to extract minerals. They find it strange. So we're also trying to address that. And then there are the speculators who simply believe that there's minerals here. They take the licenses, they hold them. They have no capacity. They have no intention of developing the mines. They only wait for investors. When investors come, they now give them very tough conditions, and they run away. Yes. So these are all the issues that we are trying to resolve. And because we intend to go and hand over our recommendations to the Honorable Minister of, solid minerals, so that it can form part of, the reforms that is taking place in the industry.
Okay, I have. Is there a Mr. Giafo on the line? I hope I got that right. Giafo from Okota.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, please, greetings to Lai Mohammed.
How are you, Sam?
Yeah, I'm fine, Please, my contribution this morning is about this illegal mining going on in the north. We all know that they have been mining gold and other minerals in the north for the past years, even during your administration which you are in, and nothing has been done. We read from the report that even some plane was landing inside a makeshift strip to pack mineral resources from the north for export. My question is, if the oil in the Niger Delta region, the money from the oil is being shared by the all Nigerians, what happened to the oil, the money from the mines, gold and other resources from the north? They are not bringing it to the table.
Okay, well, thank you very much for calling in on that. He mentioned gold, but we're talking about solid minerals. Yes, gold is in there, but it's just one.
The truth of the matter, sir, that illegal mining is going on in every part of Nigeria. What is illegal mining? It is when you just take your hoe, you take your cutlass, with no permit from federal government or any state government, no respect for environmental, concerns. no respect for environmental sustainability, and you start digging. It goes on everywhere in Nigeria.
And has been going on arguably with relative ease.
You see why? Because that's why you can see that the federal government today has set up a mining police force, which is to protect miners, protect equipment, and protect mining sites. And that is why at this particular brainstorming, we invited the military, we invited the police, we invited the SSS and the EFC, because security is a major issue in mining.
In mining, in fact, yes.
And it's everywhere in the world. But the only way you can curb illegal mining, or at least reduce illegal mining, is by adhering to the recommendations that have been made in terms of giving back something also to the community in which you are mining.
Indeed. Well, Alhaji, it's such a wide subject. After all, the round table took 2 days.
It is, yes.
You know, and even at that, I'm sure it wasn't enough time. Not to talk less of a program that has about 50 minutes or so, but it has certainly given us an insight into what the reason for it all. The objective is a $1 trillion economy. We're part of that way. The shortfall that needs to be made up, we've been looking at, and your company and NIPS has been looking at the part that solid minerals could play in this.
Absolutely.
And I'd just like to thank you for coming along to sort of shed more light and put solid minerals back in there. You said it, some people have said it from home, that there's so much potential in solid minerals, and we haven't really exploited all of that. Hopefully, the roundtable and, you know, all the stakeholders, NIPS, security, I wish we could have gone on to security, but suffice it to say that you've mentioned the fact that it's a crucial part of it and is being addressed.
It's being addressed.
Thank you very much, Lai Mohammed.
Thank you.
Managing Partner, Brui Costo, and former Minister of Information and Culture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrari. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Indeed, our pleasure. So that's our program. We'll leave it there today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.